Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. And Terry, there is a breakthrough we're going to talk about. Laurie Johnson has discovered about 18 steps that can be taken to prevent Alzheimer's.
Wow, that's
I mean, it's
huge.
very, very significant. We're going to have that on this program today.
Absolutely. Lots of people contending
it's a
with
hideous
that.
disease, and people haven't known what to do, but apparently the researchers have discovered something that's going to be very, very important. Well, shifting though, are we at risk of a hack attack? The FBI is afraid that we are. They're telling the state officials that they need to boost their cyber security because Russian hackers may have stolen information out of election computers.
Well, those attacks targeted systems in Illinois and Arizona, and it may be the opening salvos in a new type of cyber warfare. Charlene Aaron has the story.
The FBI is warning state officials to boost their election security in light of evidence that hackers targeted data systems in Arizona and Illinois. In a confidential flash alert, first reported by Yahoo News, the FBI's cyber division said it had advised states to scan their systems for specific signs of hacking. Officials described the hacker threat as credible and significant, an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10. In Illinois, in July, hackers breached the State Board of Elections. The Washington Post reporting they put up to 200,000 personal voter records at risk, including voters' names, addresses, birth dates, and other personal information. In Arizona, hackers forced the state to shut down its voter registration system for nearly a week. Both breaches are the latest indication of possible Russian interest in U.S. elections and party operations. Earlier this year, hackers compromised the computers of the Democratic National Committee, producing embarrassing emails for the DNC on the eve of Hillary Clinton's nomination as the party's presidential candidate. Russian hackers have also managed to hack into the computers at the New York Times. The hacks are the latest example of potential cyber warfare against the U.S., something that threatens the U.S. military, businesses, and more, something the White House has acknowledged in the past.
This is a very serious matter. It does pose a significant threat, not just to the American people, but also to our national security and to our economy.
Now the Obama administration is seeking to put more emphasis on developing cyber weapons to try to prevent such attacks and punish intruders into U.S. networks. Reuters reports the plan calls for elevating the stature of the Pentagon's Cyber Command for a unified command equal to combat branches of the military, such as the Central and Pacific Commands. The U.S. has already carried out cyber attacks against ISIS. So the hacking warning from the FBI is only the latest warning that the future of warfare won't be just on the battlefield and won't involve only the military. It will be carried out by computers and could cover every aspect of life. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Thanks, Charlene. In the political news, it looks like Donald Trump is moving ahead very dramatically against Hillary Clinton. He's up about 7 points in the Reuters Ipsos poll. And so the gap between them has gone from about 12 to about 5 percentage points, and it's closing. So in some polls, actually, Trump is ahead, which is amazing in this short length of time. Well, Donald Trump has linked national security to Huma Abedin's decision to separate from her husband over his latest sexting scandal. John Jessup has that.
That's right, Pat. Clinton campaign Vice Chair Huma Abedin has been at Clinton's side for decades, and she's expected to earn a top White House position if Clinton is elected. Abedin was humiliated in 2011 when her husband, former Congressman Anthony Weiner, was caught sexting. Abedin has announced that the two are now separating after the latest scandal, and Donald Trump is blasting Clinton over the incident, suggesting Weiner's actions could have endangered national security. Trump says it shows Clinton's, quote, bad judgment because Weiner may have had close proximity to highly classified information, but he did not offer any evidence that Weiner had access to classified material. Pat?
Oh, I wonder what's wrong with Weiner. He apparently has some psychological quirk. He was next to a little baby, and he had his underwear on, and he was texting to some women and describing all the stuff that he does. I mean, he's just terrible. But it's not just the fact that she's married to a sex addict, but she also has a mother who is a dedicated, hardcore Muslim who has written books about the treatment of women, which is horrifying to the average woman. And you wonder when that's going to come out and how a woman who has that kind of tendency or a family that has these tendencies could possibly be considered as the chief of staff of a Clinton White House. It doesn't make any sense at all. John?
Pat, Hillary Clinton has been the subject of endangering national security, coming under fire in recent months for her use of an unsecured personal computer server for her government emails when she was Secretary of State. Now more of those emails will be released next month by order of a federal judge. One small watchdog group has been behind the move to get those records released. CBN's Jenna Browder brings us this look at Judicial Watch.
New revelations in the investigation of Hillary Clinton's emails.
An old fire given new life.
Hillary Clinton's emails, again the topic of a hearing in Washington today.
Nearly 15,000 more emails uncovered by the FBI.
And it is exactly, Jake, that intermingling of interests and donations and favors being done.
This latest batch showing close links between Hillary Clinton's State Department and the Clinton Foundation.
Judicial Watch, the watchdog organization.
The conservative watchdog group, Judicial Watch.
Judicial Watch.
The group behind it all, Judicial Watch, a small but influential watchdog made up of only about 50 people.
Well, we've been busy, and it's a result of our perseverance and our litigation.
President Tom Fitton heads up the team that's helping shape the political and media discussion with these latest revelations.
Judicial Watch is a nonprofit educational foundation. We're nonpartisan. We're neither Republican or conservative, and our goal is to educate the American people about what its government's up to.
Fitton shows us around the D.C. office. At work, mostly lawyers and investigators nose deep in litigation.
The great old American system allows us to get access to the courts if the government doesn't turn over those documents. And so the government oftentimes is forced to turn over documents like the Clinton emails because we're in the courts. And Judicial Watch is doing things in terms of getting access to information about the IRS scandal, about Benghazi, and of course the Clinton emails that Congress wasn't able to get or is uninterested in getting. And the rest of the media isn't terribly interested in getting or is unable to get as well.
Judicial Watch scooping 60 Minutes 2020 and other mainstream media investigative units.
I can't tell you, Jenna, how oftentimes we'll see something in the news that's extraordinary and people are talking about. But we're the only ones asking the follow-up questions of government agencies to find out the detail.
And for both sides of the aisle.
We sued the Bush administration twice as much as we sued the Clinton administration. Now, the Obama administration is a special case because they're completely opposed to transparency and fight us repeatedly, so we've had to sue the administration hundreds of times to get access to government records.
This while Donald Trump hammered Clinton on this specific issue that will not go away for her campaign.
And for those skeptical about the timing of the release of these latest emails.
You know, she tried to suppress this for years. The cover-up unraveled. A lot of the documents we're talking about with the foundation were given to the State Department by Huma Abedin back in September of 2015, and we're only getting them now.
Fitton says we can expect more revelations in the days leading up to the election and even after.
We're going to keep on pursuing these Clinton emails. We're going to keep on asking questions of the government, no matter who wins, Trump or Clinton.
And that means fanning the flames to stomp out secrecy, so in the end, the American people don't get burned. In Washington, D.C., Jenna Browder, CBN News.
Thanks, Jenna. Pat, Judicial Watch may be small, but it's proven to be very effective.
Well, it certainly is. I mean, and judges are burning the heat, but the fact is they've held this stuff, held it and held it and held it. What are they trying to do? I mean, there's a cover-up of massive proportions. But WikiLeaks is claiming they've got a big revelation coming out before the election. You know, it used to be that the major elections, the national elections, started after Labor Day. Right now, it's been heated up during August at an intense pace. But Donald Trump is starting to spend millions of dollars on TV ads and other ads starting after Labor Day. And of course, Clinton is going to do the same thing. But nevertheless, we have been seeing an enormous amount of activity, and Judicial Watch has been at the center of it. So it'll be amazing what will happen. And if WikiLeaks has got a bunch of other things, I mean, I would think that the Clintons are down in a foxhole ducking, but who knows? They can brazen anything out. But I think the American people, slowly but surely, this drip, 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 like Chinese water torture, is just beginning to have an impact. And people are beginning to say, wait a minute, something's wrong. John.
Pat, disturbing news to report here. ISIS buried thousands of bodies in at least 72 mass graves across Iraq and Syria, according to an investigation by the Associated Press. The majority of the victims are Yazidi. 17 of the 72 graves have been located. The number of known victims is anywhere from 5,000 to perhaps more than 15,000. Activists believe there are hundreds of other mass graves to be found, but say they can only be explored when the fighting stops. CBN News has reported on these mass graves, with correspondent Chuck Holton reporting in March that there were more mass graves in Sinjar than there are families living there. Well, turning to health news, right now 5 million Americans are suffering with Alzheimer's disease, and that number expected to grow exponentially as baby boomers age. But as Lori Johnson explains, a comprehensive new treatment plan is being developed that could stop Alzheimer's in its tracks or reverse it. And it's being done by dealing with someone's overall lifestyle.
Dr. Dale Bredesen and his team of researchers at the Buck Institute for Research on Aging discovered Alzheimer's is caused by 36 different factors that all need to be addressed.
Imagine you have a roof with 36 holes in it. If you take a drug, for example, which is fine, that it could potentially help, but it's only going to cover one of the 36 holes. So we want to be able to cover the others.
Dr. Bredesen and his team developed a series of tests to determine exactly what's causing a person's Alzheimer's.
This includes things like looking at your exercise and things like looking at your diet and your nutrition, your homocysteine level, your copper to zinc ratio, your pregnenolone level, on and on and on. We gather over 100 different metabolic parameters, and we have then a computer-based algorithm that will tell you what is actually contributing to this and then design an initial plan.
Based on those results, they formulate an individualized plan to correct the problems. Lifestyle changes like more sleep, no sugar, and stress management are a big part. They tried it on 20 people in the early stages of the disease. 19 of them regained their memory.
So it really gives us a very different look at what Alzheimer's disease is. And instead of simply saying Alzheimer's disease, period, we say Alzheimer's disease due to what? And we look for all the different underlying causes, and then we address each one of those.
Bredesen says if caught early enough, Alzheimer's can be reversed, even prevented.
For example, there are 7 million Americans who are ApoE4 homozygous. What that means is that they have 2 copies of an Alzheimer risk gene, which puts them at very high risk for getting the disease. Currently, people say, well, don't get it tested because there's nothing you can do. What we would argue is, in fact, that's changing. There's a lot you can do.
More trials are planned in the U.S. and in the UK. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
You can watch Lori's entire interview with Dr. Bredesen at cbnnews.com. And Pat, those are some promising results in Lori's report.
It's promising. It's unbelievable because everybody said, well, Alzheimer's is sort of a mysterious thing. We don't know how to treat it. We don't know what causes it. And what these guys are saying, okay, there are about 20 risk factors, and we'll tell you what they are and show you. I mean, pregnenolone, for example. I mean, you know, I take some of that. You know, why not? But I mean, there are all these things, homocysteine, et cetera, all these levels that can cause this stuff and can reverse it. That's the good news. I mean, because this is like a living death. Somebody that has Alzheimer's, he goes into another world, and he or she. And I think it's just wonderful that this Buck Institute is coming up with these things, and we'll bring you up to date on that. I'll ask Lori Johnson to please keep us going on that story, because I think there's so many people who are affected in one way or the other by Alzheimer's. Either they've got a family member that has this terrible disease, or else they're incipient Alzheimer's, and it just breaks your heart to see what happens when people get it. But if there's some way it can be prevented and reversed, thank the Lord. Terry.
Well, you know, it's like so many of the things we talk about on this show. It does require a lifestyle change.
With that, it does. You've got, but there are all kinds of things, you know, vinpocetine, pregnenolone, acetyl-L-carnitine. You know, you can get these things in a vitamin store.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but you know, one of the things that was surprising to me about that report is that there are tests that you can have access to that tell what your specific needs are, because you just don't want to start pumping stuff in you that you don't need.
Well, I pump.
Yeah, I know you do.
As much as
so far, so good.
As much as I can pump, it seems to be working. All right, go ahead.